I've had my beast climbing sticks for a couple weeks now, and I wanted to do a quick video on how I'm going to go about silencing them. So what I use is a material called stealth strips, and I'm going to show you the materials and tools that I use, along with the process and how I go about things, and then I'm going to show you the results. Just note, there is no right or wrong way to use stealth strips. Everybody kind of has their own preference. I'm going to show a video of how I go about it, and I thought it would be helpful for others in the event they had questions. In order to wrap your bee sticks with these stealth strips, you're going to need a few tools and materials. Here is a look at the beast climbing stick. You're going to need a prying tool, like a screwdriver, works really well. Razor blades. Something for cleaning. I use denatured alcohol and also a rag. 7/16 wrench in a socket. Also a nut driver. Scissors. Marker. And your stealth strips. Now on this Stealth Outdoors website, they actually have a size that is pre-cut specifically for the bee sticks. For the buckles, I use the cable silencers, and they seem to work best for me. First step is taking off the hardware. So on the top, you got 2 bolts. In the center, you got your button, the Del ring button. You got 1 bolt there. In the bottom, you have 2 more. On the opposite side, where the holes are, this is where I use the nut driver because it seems to fit best. There's other tools you could probably use, but that's what I have found to work really well. So I'm going to take off the hardware, I'm going to show you what the stick looks like, and then we can wrap it. Well, taking off the hardware, there's one thing I did forget to mention that might be a little tricky. It's not hard to figure out, but here's a tip. At the top of the stick is a cap right here, and to be able to get to this nut on the inside here, you actually have to pry this up a little bit. So that's what you're going to be using the pry tool for. Okay, so now all the hardware is removed. As you can see, it's just the stick itself, and you can notice in the top where I just pried this off, you can take this cap out altogether, or you can just pry it up for just a little bit, just so you can actually get in here. So I found that you can just either pry it up a little bit, or you can remove it and then put it back in. So just be very careful with it because it is plastic and you just don't want to ruin it. Another tip that I forgot to mention is when you take off the hardware, just kind of keep it together, so then you just know how it goes back together. It's a lot easier. Instead of then you don't have to guess. Before wrapping the stick in the stealth strips, it's actually really important to make sure that the stick itself is clean. So to make it clean, or you know, to make sure that there's no oil on there from my fingers or grease or anything from the shop, you're gonna have to take a rag and take a cleaning agent. I take denatured alcohol. This seems to work best, I think. So you just wipe down your stick really really nice, just to make sure that there's no grease or anything on it. On the back side of the stealth strip, you'll see this backing. So there's actually a seam right here, and what I do is actually I remove this one first, and then I will apply the stick on that, and then I will remove the larger part, and then I will wrap it. So just a tip, I actually use this part first. So now I remove the backing, and one tip I found that is really helpful is that when you receive these stealth strips, they'll usually have a folding crease right here just for shipping purposes. So to lay it flat, you're going to want to put something with a little bit of weight on both sides. Here I just used a Bitzenberger jig on both sides to kind of spread it out to make sure it's very flat. So I'll start right here by putting on the stick, and then I'll fold it over. Okay, so now I laid my stick flat on my stealth strip. So one thing that I want to give you guys a tip on is what I like to do is like to keep my seams to the back side or the tree side of the stick, just for looks and aesthetic purposes. So what I did was, you can see actually through the holes, there's only, I went about halfway. So when I wrap the stick, it's going to come up to about there. So it's going to come into the middle of the stick. Alright, so I took off the other side of the backing, and now it's time to essentially just roll this over. Alright, so now this stick is wrapped with the stealth strip. And you'll be able to see the seam on the back side. So as I'm rolling it over, if you want it to be completely touching, you actually kind of need to kind of pull the strip a little bit and kind of stretch it a little bit. I don't mind a little bit of a gap. I'm not that picky. So the next part I'm going to do is I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to mark where my holes were. With this, it's actually kind of nice to be able to reference to another stick, just so you know exactly which holes you're going to be cutting out. On the B sticks, they have the perforated tube. If you wish, you could actually cut all these. You could probably put little X's in these and really cut each one of them out. I'm not going to do that. It's kind of time consuming. If I do choose to do that, I can actually go back and do it whenever I feel. But today I got to actually get out in the woods and go hunting, so I don't really have the time to sit and cut a couple hundred holes in each stick. So that's definitely an option. It's really a preference at this point. So once again, I'm going to take the marker, mark my holes, and take my razor blade, and I'm going to cut them out, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so now I got my holes cut out, and I'll show you just quickly what that is going to look like. So then you have one right here, right here in the end. Now it's time to put the hardware back on, and she's done. Okay, so now I got the hardware back on and the stick is done. Just note, if you take out this cap right here, you'll have to replace that. Otherwise you can just push it in like I did, because I just kind of pried it out just a little bit. But as you can see with the stealth strip, it takes away that shine, adds a little bit of a concealment with the Strata. It also helps with noise, most important. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to leave a couple links at the bottom. Thanks for watching. Hunt safe, shoot straight, and have a good day.